Hello dear students, good morning. This is Professor S.B. Bhendigeri, Department of Economics, taking online classes for PUC first year commerce students. Dear students, in the last lecture, we have studied the classification of data, which is most important topic. And in today's lecture, let us understand the most important topic, that is frequency distribution. With this topic, the statistical calculation part begins. Let us look at the slide first. Before going to understand frequency distribution, we have to understand what is frequency. Frequency is nothing but it refers to the number of times an observation is repeated. Okay. Observation is repeated in the sense, how many times the variables are repeated in a group of, for example, data. Now look at the meaning of frequency distribution. It is most important, and they may ask in the examination for 1 mark or else 2 marks question. That is meaning of frequency. They may ask what is frequency or else what is frequency distribution. Frequency distribution is nothing but it is a comprehensive way to classify raw data of quantitative variables, and it shows how different values of a variable are distributed in the different classes. Frequency distribution means in a given class limit, for example, or class interval, what we call it as. Okay. How many observations are coming? How many variables are coming? How many observations are coming in that particular class limit or class interval? We have to understand. That is called as frequency distribution. It is a comprehensive way to classify raw data of quantitative variables. It shows how different values of a variables are distributed in different classes along with their corresponding class frequencies. Okay, I hope you understood. Here it means the number of values in a particular class limit. In a particular class limit, how many values are, for example, there? Suppose in 10 to 20, for example, class limit, how many values are appeared? Like, for example, in 10 to 20, there may be 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. These are the frequencies. Okay. These are the values which are appeared in that particular class limit. That is called as frequency distribution. Now look at the meaning of class limit. You have to understand. For the frequency distribution calculation, you have to understand these important aspects. Meaning of class limit. Class limit is nothing but it includes the two ends, the lower limit and upper limit. Class limit means it includes two ends. As I said, if the class limit is 10 to 20, 10 is the lower limit, 20 is the upper limit. That is called as class limit. And in that class limit, how many observations are appeared, we have to understand. If we are calculating the number of observations in that class limit, that is called as frequency distribution. Okay, I hope you understood. Class limit means the two ends of a class limit, that is lower limit and upper limit. Now look at the meaning of class interval or class width. Class interval or class width is nothing but it is the difference between lower class limit and upper class limit. What is the difference in that two class limits? Lower class limit and upper class limit. Suppose if the lower class limit and upper class limit is 60 to 70. If the class limit is 60 to 70, what is the difference between these two? You have to understand. The difference between these two is called as class interval or class width, for example. Okay. 60 to 70 class limit is there. Suppose, for example, the class interval of 60 to 70 class limit is 10. You know why? 10 is the sum of upper and lower limit. Okay. Why that is 10? The class limit is 60 to 70. Why the class interval is 10 over there? 70 minus 60 is 10. Okay. As I said, it is the difference between lower class limit and upper class limit. Lower class limit is 60. Upper class limit is 70. 70 minus 60 is 10, for example. 10 is the class interval or class width supposed to be. I hope you understood. Now, one more important thing you have to understand over here. That is meaning of class midpoint or class mark. My dear students, for the calculation of frequency distribution, you must understand this midpoint calculation, midpoint or class mark. If you are not understanding this, you are not able to calculate frequency distribution. Okay, what is the meaning of class midpoint and class mark? Midpoint is nothing but that is class mark. It is the middle value of lower and upper class limit. Very clear. It is very clear. Class midpoint or class mark is the middle value of lower and upper class limit. It is an average of lower and upper class limit. Middle value is nothing but is the average. Average in the sense, if the class limit is 60 to 70, then what is the class mark of that? In 60 to 70 class limit, the class mark is 65. You know why? To calculate class midpoint and class mark, we have to add both lower class limit and upper class limit. Okay. After adding these two, we have to divide it by 2. So 60 plus 70 is equal to 130. 130 divided by 2. You know why 2? That is 2 variables. 60 lower limit and 70 is upper limit. 2 variables. So 130 divided by 2 is equal to 65 is the class mark. Okay. You have to understand this particular point for the frequency calculation. Okay. Now, in calculation of frequency distribution, there are 3 methods. One is exclusive method. Second one is inclusive method. Third one is uneven method. Okay. Uneven class limit. Okay. 3 methods are there: exclusive method, inclusive method, and uneven method. Now, let us understand what is exclusive method. This point you have to understand without fail. And moreover, this question is always coming in the examination. Calculate frequency distribution by the following data information. They may ask specifically, they may ask with the help of exclusive method or else inclusive method or else uneven method. If they ask exclusive method, you have to calculate that frequency distribution with the help of that method only. Okay. Look at the exclusive method. In this method, the upper limit of the first class interval and the lower limit of the second class interval remains the same. My dear students, try to understand very systematically. In this exclusive method, the upper limit of the first class interval and the lower limit of this second class interval are remains the same, and here upper class limit is excluded. Look at the example. In the first example, the class limit is between 0 to 10. In the second example, class limit is between 10 to 20. Here, the upper class limit of the first class interval is 10. Okay. I hope you understood. The upper class limit of the first class interval is 10 supposed to be. Okay. Try to understand that. Here, the upper class limit of the first class interval is 10, I say. Look at this one, 10. And the lower limit of the second class interval, that is 10 again. The upper class limit of the first class interval and the lower limit of the second class interval remains the same here. So, these two are 10 over here. Again, look at the third example there. That is, the class limit is between 20 to 30. In 10 to 20 and 20 to 30, you are able to understand the exclusive method. Here, the upper class limit of the 10 to 20 class limit is 20, and the lower class limit of the 20 to 30 is 20, for example. These two are same. The upper class limit of the first class interval and the lower class limit of the second class interval, when these two are same, that method is called as exclusive method. I hope you understood. Okay. Now, look at the next one, that is inclusive method. In this method, the upper limit of the first class interval is different than the lower limit of the second class interval. Here, upper class limit is included. Look at the first one. There is a small mistake in the example. It would have been 0 to 10, but wrongly it has mentioned as 0 to 1. Okay. Here, in this method, the upper limit of the first class interval is different than the lower limit of the second class interval. Look at the second example here. The class limit is between 11 to 20, and in third example, class limit is between 21 to 30. Here, the upper limit of the class limit of 11 to 20 is 20, and the lower limit of the class limit of 21 to 30 is 21. These two are different here. Okay. The upper limit of the first class interval and the lower limit of the second class interval are different. When these two are different, that method is called as inclusive method. Okay. I hope you understood. Uneven method means you may fix different class limits over here. Instead of 0 to 10, you may fix 0 to 9. Instead of 11 to 20, you may fix 20 to 25, 25 to 30, 35 to 40, 45 to 55, like this. When the class limit is uneven, that is called as uneven method of calculation of frequency distribution. Okay. Now, let us understand this calculation of frequency distribution with the help of one example. Here, in this slide, I have shown The students' marks in mathematics, 100 students are there in the class. In that class, out of 100 students, marks are given like this. If marks are given in this format, you are not able to understand how many students have got what amount of marks with the help of this raw data. This is called as raw data. With the help of this raw data, we are not able to understand the entire class result in that particular subject. To understand the entire class result in that particular subject of mathematics, we need to use that frequency distribution calculation. With the help of that, we are able to understand what is the subject result in that class. So out of 100 students who have appeared for the mathematics subject examination, marks are allotted like this. With the help of this raw data, we never understand the class result in that subject. Let us look at the calculation. In this calculation, my dear students, one observation is very important. Can you tell me, out of that 3 methods, which method I have used here? On which method I have calculated frequency distribution over here? I have calculated frequency distribution with the help of exclusive method. In exclusive method, the class limit is like this: 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, like that, 90 to 100 last. You know why it is 100? There are 100 students in the class. So you have to fix the class limit based on the number of students in that particular class. Okay. So here, one more important thing you have to observe over here. As I said in the beginning, in meaning of exclusive method, in this method, the upper limit of the first class interval and the lower limit of the second class interval R remains the same. If these two R remains the same, in calculation what you have to do? Here in calculation, if you are collecting the observations, marks of students in subject of mathematics, in the beginning class limit is 0 to 10. If you are taking the students' marks, those who have got marks in mathematics between 0 to 10, if you are taking 10 also in that class, it is not appear in the second class limit. If you are not taking it in the first class limit, if you are taking only 0 to 9, for example, observations in that class limit, 10 is appears in the second class limit. So in exclusive method, you have to take only 0 to 9, for example, variables, observations. Okay. If you are taking 0 to 9 observations in the first class limit, 10 is appeared in the second class limit. Okay. Look at the, for example, data information, raw data information between 0 to 10. How many students have got marks over here? Okay. Getting my point? In this, between 0 to 10, only one student has got 0 marks. Okay. Only one student has got 0 mark. 10 is there, but 10 is not appear in the first class limit because it is in exclusive method. Okay. I hope you are getting my point. So between 0 to 10 class limit, only one student has got 0 marks, for example. So that is comes in the calculation, that is between 0 to 10, only one student is there. Frequency is 1. I hope you understood. Between 0 to 10, 10 is not included in the first class limit. in exclusive method, because here 0 to 10 only one student has got 0 marks. So that is the frequency observation. One student has got 0 mark in this first class limit. Look at the lower limit and upper limit. Lower limit, as I said, 0 is the lower limit and 10 is the upper limit in the 0 to 10 class limit. And what is the class mark? How to find out the class mark? You have to add both lower and upper limits and divide it by 2. 10 divided by 2, 0 plus 10 is 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 5 is the class mark. Okay. Now look at the second class limit. Second class limit is between 10 to 20. Here you have to take 10. That variable 10, observation 10, you have to add in the second class limit, because you have not added that 10 in the first class limit. But here one more important thing you have to understand. In the second class limit of 10 to 20, you have to take only the variables observations between 10 to 19. 20 is not included again here. Okay. 10 to 19 observations are coming under 10 to 20 class limit. So in that class limit, 8 students have got marks between 10 to 20 in mathematics. Okay, look at there. Here, for example, we have to observe it very systematically. 14 is there, 17 is there, and again 14 is there, and for example 12 is there, 14 is there, okay, 12 is there again, 14 is there. Like that, there are total number of 8 frequencies, 8 observations. 8 students have got 10 to marks it between 10 to 20 in the subject of mathematics. Like that, in the third class limit, that is 20 to 30, 6 students have got 20 to 30 marks in that subject. And again, if you are looking at class mark, look at the second class limit, the class mark is 15. You know why? 10 plus 20 is 30, divided by 2 is 15. Look at the third class mark, that is 20 plus 30 is equal to 50. 50 divided by 2 is 25. Okay, and the lower limit is 20. 20 is the lower limit and 30 is the upper limit. Okay, like that, up to the class limit between 90 to 100, if you are able to understand. Between 90 to 100, only 4 students are there in mathematics. Okay, between 90 to 100, how many students are there? Only 4 students are there. And one more important thing you have to understand over here. My dear students, the total number of frequencies, what you are finding in that raw data, must be equal to the number of students. If it is not matching, your answer will be wrong. Okay, look at the frequencies. If you are counting all those frequencies, it is equal to 100. And look at the raw data which is given over here. These are also 100 students marks in mathematics. Okay. If your frequency is not matching to these number of students marks allotted in mathematics, your answer will be wrong. Okay. So that must be equal to 100. Okay. I hope you understood, my dear students. And again, if you are looking at class mark of the last class limit, that is 90 to 100. 100 plus 90 is 190. 190 divided by 2 is 95. Okay. And lower limit of the last class limit is 90 and upper limit is 100. There are 4 students who have got marks in mathematics between 90 to 100. I'll tell you. Okay. Look at the picture over here. In this raw data, 90 is there, again 90 is there, again 90 is there, and last 100. Okay. If your class limit is continued from next again 100 to 110, again you are not taking 100 in the class limit between 190 to 100. If you are, for example, class limit is got over to 90 to 100, the last variable, that is 100, you have to take into account in the frequency. Okay, so only 4 students have got marks between 90 to 100 in the mathematics subject. This is all about the frequency distribution calculation with the help of exclusive method. In the next class, let us understand the same calculation with the help of inclusive method and uneven method. Okay, with this, let us stop today's discussion. Thank you very much.